Hey everybody, Coach Jose. Welcome to Words of Wisdom, episode number 17, A Recipe for Success. Now, in episode 16, I talked about the concept of how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. And the question then was asked of me, well, how do you complete that task? Yeah, how do you finish eating that elephant? Well, if you're going to eat anything, you need to have a good recipe, especially something as big as an elephant, right? So there are various ingredients that we can put into our recipe for eating our elephant. All right, the first one is motivation. Then we have willpower, we have habits, we have accountability, we have support, and we have an environment. Right? And I'm going to touch on each of those and explain why some of them are crucial and some of them aren't as important as you might think. All right, so let's start out with motivation. Right? So, motivation is what most people think about. It's like, well, how do I stay motivated to eat that elephant? Right? Motivation is our emotional energy. Right? We're excited, we're motivated, we have a desire. And if you don't have motivation, you're not going to be willing to take the initial steps to break the inertia that has held you in the position that you're in and have been in for some time. So you have to have motivation to take that first step. But here's what I'm going to tell you, motivation is not going to get you there. Motivation is going to break that inertia, but it's not going to get you to the end result because it's in limited supply. It's an emotion and it's going to wane. And this is why most of us never accomplish the things that we really want to accomplish. We're motivated at first, but as soon as we hit a brick wall, our motivation starts to wane, then we stop. So motivation is great to get us started, but it's not going to get us to the finish line. Okay. Gets us to our next one, willpower. It's the second thing most people think about. Well, I have to have willpower to get through. Well, willpower helps us to step up, okay, when things get a little tough. So I think about it kind of like adrenaline. And sometimes you just need that little kick of energy to get you to move forward. But like adrenaline, it's only good in short bursts. And like adrenaline, also, it will move you forward, but when you utilize your willpower, you also drain yourself. So it is a huge expenditure of energy to try and rely on willpower. So willpower will help you when you struggle from time to time, but it's not the big thing that you need. Right, so I think about motivation and willpower kind of like the salt and pepper that you put in to give a little extra flavor. Right? If you put too much of either one or you rely on that for the basis of your recipe for success, it's not going to turn out very pretty or tasty. Right, so let's get to the meat of this, the elephant meat, if you will. It's our habits. Right? So we have to set up habits. These are the action steps that you take, and they have to be consistent. They have to be habitual. Right? So there are lots of ways that we can set up these habits, and there are two that I like to think about. One is a concept called tiny habits. Right? So this is what the one bite at a time is. It's easy to take one bite. Right? If you say today you have to eat a quarter of the elephant, that's going to be tough. But if you just say today I have to take at least one bite, well, maybe you can take two, or maybe you can take three, or maybe you take 10. But if you at least take one, you're making forward progress. You have momentum on your side. So tiny habits is very important in terms of your ongoing success. The other is habit stacking. Habit stacking is you utilize existing habits and you kind of stack your new habit on top of it. So one of the things that I talk about a lot for people who are trying to improve their balance and they don't practice a lot of balancing is to pick something that they do every day, like brush your teeth. And when they brush their teeth, when you're brushing your uppers, stand on your right leg. When you're brushing your lowers, stand on your left leg. And you're stacking your habit. Another one is something like when you are brewing your coffee, as your coffee is brewing, do a plank. So if it takes a minute for your coffee machine to make the coffee, do a plank during that period of time while the coffee is brewing, and you've got your 1 minute of doing your planks in. Right, so there's lots of ways you can use habit stacking. Right? And again, this is kind of the meat of what you have to do in terms of accomplishing your goal. You have to have those habits and they have to be executed consistently. Accountability is another recipe ingredient that will really help us to maintain our forward momentum. Right? So if you don't have any repercussions to not finishing your elephant, then you're going to tend to want to give up at some point. So the stronger or the more important those repercussions are to you, the more likely you're able to continue on. So to lose weight just because your pants are getting a little tight, that maybe isn't going to be enough motivation for you to do what you need to do to lose your weight. But if your doctor says if you don't lose 20 pounds in the next year, you're going to have a massive coronary, how motivated do you think that's going to make you? And that's your accountability. It's that, I know that if I don't do this, that this is going to be the end result. So you become accountable to yourself. Using accountability partners is another way that you could do this. This is having other people hold your feet to the fire. So as a business owner, I have a level of accountability to both my employees and to my students. So I need to do the things that I have to do to grow my business if I want to be able to pay my employees and to have a place for my students to train. So I have a level of accountability, and this helps me to move forward in the processes I need to go through in eating the elephants that I have to for my business to grow. Support is another ingredient. And support, we need our cheerleaders. Right? We all need our cheerleaders. And those cheerleaders can be the external cheerleaders, they can also be our internal cheerleaders. So we need this as much as we need the accountability. Accountability is kind of thinking about what, in some ways, that can be viewed as a negative kind of thing. What are the negative consequences? The support tends to be a little more on the positive side. So we need positive support. We need people to encourage us. We need coaching. We need people to help us when we lose track, when we lose our way, to help get us back on track. When we're not sure how to tackle the next bite, how to navigate around certain situations, then we need to have people who can help us in our goal. Someone to give us a leg up, maybe to get up to that ear. So we have to be able to have support in order to get our long-term success. And then the final ingredient that I want to talk about is environment. And that's one that a lot of times we don't think about. It's important that our environment is conducive to the task at hand. If you're trying to eat that elephant, we want to make sure that there aren't a whole lot of distractions. We don't want people walking around. We don't want things getting in our way. We want to be able to focus on the task at hand. So we want to have lower distractions, and we also want to have ease to the task itself. So this is one of the reasons why in weight loss, as we'll go back to this concept, why a lot of people have trouble with weight loss, because it's much easier for them to do the bad habits than it is for them to do the good habits. So if you have ice cream in your fridge, it's way too easy for you to have that scoop of ice cream at midnight than if you didn't keep it in your house. If you had to travel to get it, then you probably wouldn't eat it. So if you replace the bad habits that are easy with good habits and make them easy, then you have a better chance of maintaining your momentum and finishing your task. Okay, so we can think about we have our motivation, our willpower, our habits, our accountability, our support, our environment. All of these things need to come together if we want to finish eating that elephant. Now, here's the thing. The ratios or the proportions of all these things are going to vary from person to person, and they're going to vary from time to time. It's like I love making margaritas. And depending on what I'm pairing it with or how I'm feeling that day, I might change the recipe a little bit. One day I might want to make it a little spicy, put a jalapeno in it. Another day I want to make it a little more sour. Another day I might want to add some fruit, or I want to have a little more tequila, or I want to have a little less tequila. So it depends on what I need at that moment. So this recipe is not set, but you do need to think about what do you need most. If you're highly habit based, that's great. Maybe you don't have accountability. Maybe you don't have people to hold you responsible for what you're doing. So you need an accountability partner. If you're really self motivated, then maybe you don't need an accountability partner. So you can skip that a little bit. but you need support. You need to change your environment. And so these ingredients can be mixed in a variety of ways, but you do need them, most of them, all the time, available to you as the ingredients, or as you can think of it as tools to help you along with your process. Okay, so this is Coach Jose saying, eat your elephant, and remember in everything you do, be your best.